ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So we got some great news a couple days ago. Actually, great, but not so great.
Multifaceted news.
It's a double-edged sword. But it's actually very good. We're very happy. My son, who has his longtime girlfriend, she goes to the same university as him, and they're both graduating in a couple weeks, actually.
Oh my gosh, they're graduating already?
I know. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
How long have I known you? Gosh.
I know. And we've never met in real life.
Yes. But wow.
Yeah.
I would have said he was still just like in his freshman or sophomore year. Wow.
No,
I'm old.
They're done.
Time has gone by, man.
It has. I mean, he still has quite a bit more to go if his plans come together the way they want. Yeah. Or the way he wants them to. But his girlfriend's plans are certainly coming together.
Yeah.
So she's one of those cases where, listen to me, Case. She's one of those people that didn't have a lot of family support behind her when she went through school, and the system actually really worked for her, surprisingly. So she went through all the sort of the support network that schools and universities provide, and helped her along. And so, and it hasn't been easy, as my son calls it. She's the head captain of the Struggle Bus Express. It's just been, she's had her share of stuff come her way, and she's persevered and kept going. And so anyway, in a couple of weeks, she graduates with her degree in business administration, and she just got accepted into USC, the University of Southern California. Yeah, which is a top business school, and she got accepted there for her graduate degree. So
great.
Yeah, so she's going to be working on a master's of accounting. And so we're lots of celebration here, and super proud of her. And but then that means that they're moving closer to LA.
Wow.
Which,
they're not moving too close to USC, are they?
No.
So I recall from my California days, not the nicest of neighborhoods.
It has not changed. Yeah, it's pretty sketchy out there. So they are, he's going to do a year of upgrading his GPA. So he's going to take some classes in Fullerton, Cal State Fullerton. So then, and she'll start working on her master's. So it's fun to watch them, just kind of go through those, little steps in life and reach those milestones. And kind of see what they're, how they're going to make their life and how things are, turning out. So it's kind of fun to...
How much further away from you will he be than he is now?
It'll probably be about a 50-minute drive.
Is that with or without traffic?
That's without.
Oh, so in other words, double it.
Double it. I think they're looking in the Fullerton, Brea, Covina, kind of that corridor. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Anyway, and so by California standards, that's just a really far, at least Southern California standards, that's just really far away. So, but it's exciting. And so we have lots of celebration coming up in our house, and got a few grad parties and graduations to attend. So we have a busy couple weeks.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, congratulations for him having this life milestone, and sorry to you for being, will you be out of worrying distance? Or will you still...
Is that possible?
I don't know.
Does that ever happen?
Well, when they're close by, you can hear everything that's going on. It's, I guess, a different level of worry.
It is.
This you will be notified when worrying is appropriate.
Yes, I'm sure I will be.
The rest of the time, it will be just low-level washcloth over the eye time of
It'll be a text here and there.
Yes.
What's happening? What's going on? Hey, sup?
Yeah.
Those are the text messages I get. So.
Well, the GPS will still work, so you can always still check up on him, right?
Well, no, because he hid me ages ago, so I don't have any. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Oh, I'm not allowed to. No. I haven't seen his GPS since senior year, I think.
Seems like there should be a way to override that.
I know.
I need some tech support.
Well, I'm
Only
not sure
for
I wanted
mothers.
to know where he was.
But there's some company, if some white hat hackers want to start up a company that will allow mothers to hack into their kids' phones and always know where they are.
Yeah,
This is a
that'd
free
be nice.
business idea to you.
Because I still pay for his phone, so I should be allowed.
Oh, well, in that case,
Yeah.
in that case,
exactly.
I think he has to give you access.
But the year that he was living with his fraternity, I didn't really want to know what he was up to.
Might be called into court. Would be just as good to not have the evidence.
Anyway, lots of changes coming our way. Mhm.
Wow.
Good ones. So,
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I guess we
But
should.
what
move
never
on.
changes is our podcast.
That's right.
Much.
And here it is, the Parenting Roundabout. Hello, and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Nicole Erdix, and with me today are Katherine Haleko
Hello.
and Terri Morrow.
Hello.
And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about cheap household hacks on our speed round, shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, which one of you is going to confess to overindulging your kids?
Well, probably me, and not just because I am assigned to this topic on the script. So we read a newspaper article called Surprising Ways We Overindulge Our Kids, which, just reading that title will make you feel bad. At least it
Well,
does.
You know what
For
it
me.
does to me. It makes me feel humphy.
Yes. So this is why we chose it as a topic, because if Terry's getting humpy, then that's going to be a good discussion.
Perfect.
So the authors are not talking about spoiling kids with stuff. Their argument is more about when we, and this is a quote, when we over-nurture our children, we fail to give them the gift of independence or to mentor them and apprentice them in the ways and the art of adulthood. And despite the cheesy way that sounds, that is a key point in Katherine Lewis's book, which I talked about with her on a speed round a couple weeks ago, which we
Yeah.
can link to. This idea that if you give them privileges that they didn't earn, or if you do things for them that they are quite capable of doing for themselves, it gives them a sense of entitlement that, is not good for anyone. And they have trouble delaying gratification. So, these things definitely happen in my world, and I see them happening, and I know they're bad, and that doesn't mean I can fix them, or I've been able, I should be able to, but I don't know. Is this something that you guys struggle with also?
All the time. My kids don't work as hard for the things that they get, so then I feel like I'm indulging them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think about it at the time, and then I think, oh, this is probably not a good thing. I should probably make her do chores, or, have her, have them do something to at least earn it. But that doesn't happen much these days.
Right.
I don't know. I have to say I'm guilty of, whether it's finances or attention or material things, I probably tend to be a little overindulgent.
I find it with things like, I don't know, enforcing screen time things, and not because I have a thing in my brain that says like, okay, a kid should only get X amount of screen time and he's had more than that. But it's more like, he'll be playing a game, and I'll say, you have some homework you need to do, and yeah, in a minute.
Mhm.
And I really don't like the constant, like, repeating myself and coming back to it and coming back to it. But yet, if I don't, then straight up, that stuff will never, ever, ever get done.
Right.
You know, and because he doesn't care about the consequence of not doing it. And so, I don't know, I need to find a better way of, you know, of making it his problem and not my problem. And that's the part that's hard.
I don't know. The thing I struggle about with this sort of thing is this idea that there is one way to raise a child correctly, and it's the way that the author has done it personally, and that if you're not doing it that way, you're doing it wrong, and that every kid is going to react exactly the same way to the same parenting. And I reject all of that. You know, I just hate that attitude. And I mean, I've written parenting articles. I'm sure I've had that attitude too, because, you know, you got to fill the page, you got to turn something in. But, you know, they make a big point of, there's a quote here, when we hold a picture in our minds of the adults we hope our children will become, we are less likely to overindulge them in obvious or subtle ways. And I mean, that's very nice, but raise your hand if your adult child is exactly what you plotted carefully all through their childhood and adulthood. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of variables, including what the child sees themselves being as an adult, which is really none of your business. So the whole thing just rubs me the wrong way and makes me defensive. I don't think I'm indulgent. I think that I try very hard to make them as independent as possible. It's difficult with kids with special needs because there's safety issues. You know, I send my son to go to work in this stadium, and every day when we pick him up at the end of the day, I cannot believe I am so fortunate that he came out alive. You know, so it's like, it's good to have him work. It's good to have the independence, but at the same point, if you have a kid with a disability that affects decision-making skills and good judgment, you've got to always worry. So then, especially when they're little, you do want to do too much stuff for them. You know, you want to, it's a choose your battles kind of thing, you know, is the risk of this worth the reward? So, you know, I've struggled with that. Plus which I have kids who were hugely not nurtured for a large chunk of their early lives.
Right.
So you don't, well, in a way, they were not nurtured in a warm parenting way. At the same time, they were in an environment where everything was done for them because, you know, it certainly wasn't indulgent, but it was, they had no incentive to, you know, you stay in a playpen all day. That's why my son never left the playpen, and my daughter was very constricted in what she was able to do. There was a cabinet of toys in the room, but those only came out when there were visitors. I don't know what they played with at other times. So that all makes it complicated. I don't want to be like, you know, welcome to Orphanage 2.0, you know, scrub the toilet now. So it's really, really complicated for me. And that's why when I see something like this, it's saying, well, if you're not doing it exactly this way, you're going to have you know, your kid isn't going to come out well, and then it's going to be too late. So,
well, I just think it's relative too, because what I perceive to be overindulgent may be that way because I didn't get that when I was a child, or my parents didn't raise me that way. So I might think that something is overindulgent where you might not think it's overindulgent, right? So, you know, for me, you know, my parents had a very kind of traditional way of raising me and had traditional expectations. And so I was pretty self-sufficient by the time I was, you know, 16, 15, 16, 17 years old. So when I look at my kids at that age and look at what they're doing compared to what I did, well, it's a totally different story. So of course I think, oh yeah, I'm overindulging them because that's not how I was raised.
Yeah.
But then when you compare them to their peers, they're, you know, they're different, you know, things that their peers are getting that they're not. So it's like, it's all relative too, as to what you received when you were being parented.
I was pretty indulged when I was a kid. I was my mom's only child, and she was motivated to maybe give me things she didn't have as a kid. And I wound up pretty independent. But, you know, I was at a sports party the other day, sitting at a table of people, and we were talking about smartphones or iPhones, and some of us had iPhones, and some of us were I would never need one of those, they're too expensive, I don't need them, all I need is to be able to call on the phone, and, we're talking about getting a new phone, and if you bought these phones outright, it might be $1,000. Which on the face of it, oh my gosh, you're getting your kid $1,000 phone. That's the most indulgent thing in the world. But of course, you don't go and buy it for $1,000. You buy it for $20 a month on your phone bill.
Right.
And, if you don't need it, that's fine. I personally use mine a whole ton, and I need it.
Yeah.
My kids have it. Because my kids have iPhones, I can trace their whereabouts. I can text message them. I can email them. I can send them things that they need to see. We get a lot of use out of that. I don't feel like that's indulgent. I feel like that's a useful tool. But to somebody who say, she bought her kid an $800 phone for his birthday, I imagine these newspaper people might say, what did he do to earn that? Which what he did was, worked and spent no money for a long time. And I kind of feel like he deserves something. But, but it's,
right, they don't see that.
It's not like he's getting one every time he asks for you. I said you have to wait until the contract on your last one expires, and when that happens, then we can look into getting a new one. And his battery was its life had become diminished, and so it's a problem when he goes to work for 8 hours. He needs to be able to call me at the end to pick him up. So there's all sorts of reasons for it. So it's like individual to each family. It's individual to each child. You can't look at it and say, well, this is the list of things that are cool, and this is the list of things that you're going to ruin your child.
Right.
If only there was such a list that we could just
can't be such a list because it's different.
To.
It's different for every kid. I certainly was judgy about when my kids were in, I guess, junior high, and somebody wanted to pretty much have a whole big fancy prom at a catering place with limos for middle schoolers. And I was saying, that seemed indulgent to me. Make them wait for prom. And there was a concern expressed that, well, some of them might not graduate high school. And it's like, well, this is what happens if you don't graduate high school. You forfeit the big fancy party.
Yeah.
Wow.
So but I suppose for other people that might be, school's been very hard and you want to reward all their hard work. That might seem like a non-indulgent thing. I don't know. I beat my drum, as I always do, of every kid is different, every family is different, shut up. Unless it's me writing the article, in which case.
In which case you should hang up closely every word.
I don't think I've ever been quite... my parenting writing, I don't think, has been absolute, generally. Maybe now and then. I use may a lot.
Yeah. I am conscious of that when I'm writing that sort of thing because... it's certainly been my experience that whenever you deal in absolutes, it doesn't work.
No.
If you do X, your child will do Y. Nope, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
And can we get our money back from this columnist if we do everything right and our child does not turn out to be an independent adult? Please give us your address. We'll get in touch with you in about X number of years. Breach of contract.
Let you know.
And then they do get independent, and like Nicole's son, they move away.
Then
you lose control, and they take you off their phone. Who wants that? Chain them to you with indulgences and money. Come on.
Well, that's kind of my husband's philosophy, is that we want them around, so we have to appeal to their senses as young adults. And that usually means money.
That's a responsible opposing viewpoint, I think.
So he's willing to do what it takes to keep them around. And he honestly, he makes no bones about it. He's like, if we have to take them out for a meal every time, or I don't know, have something here that they need.
Pay for their phone.
Why not?
I have a friend who has a son with some special needs, and she has always said, like, if I can buy him an experience or a friend or whatever, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I hear you, sweetie. Yeah. I've been
She's
there
like,
too.
if I can have a really cool birthday party so that people will go, and he'll feel good that he's got friends,
you're gonna do it.
That's how I'm gonna spend my money.
I have been there.
There is no value. You can't place a value on that stuff, right?
Right.
It's like,
and honestly, that was a big. We remember when my son did the luge, and that was expensive and that was disruptive, and it took him out of school, but it meant so much to him, and it was so meaningful to him to feel special that way, to feel included and invited, and, you know, to feel like he was good at that at a time when he wasn't feeling like he was good at anything, you know?
Yeah.
It was, and I know that probably looked indulgent, right? Like,
yeah,
to the outside, but...
Right. No, that's, you got to do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, you know, and what constitutes being deserving of something, you know, if you do things for them or give them things that they haven't earned, well, I had behavior charts for my son a lot that were just basically, if he didn't do anything wrong, he got a reward. He didn't have to do anything. It's just if he avoided the you know, the things that came naturally to him and were hard for him not to do, that got rewarded. Although I imagine some people would say, yeah, but it's not something that's visible to the, you know, if they only see the time he slips and not the times that he, you know, people are not going to necessarily understand that. So it's, you know, parents, you know, your kids, you know, yes, I see nothing wrong with occasional bribery and nurturing, using nurturing in that way. I'm not sure I would use that term. Nurturing should be, can you over-nurture? I'm uncomfortable with the idea of over-nurturing, because nurturing seems like the baseline of parenting to me. You know, you want to have all the other things too. You want to have the consequences, and you have to, but it all has to be against a background of nurturing, doesn't it? Can you say I'm going to withhold nurturing from you unless you do this? Or you've received your allotment of nurturing this month, son. Now I want to see some. I want to see some results.
Well, it's kind of like with a little infant, you know. I mean, they do say now you can't spoil a baby. Like you can't spoil a baby by responding to her when she's crying. But that didn't used to be, you know, it would be like, no, you can only feed them every 3 hours because otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, when my firstborn was a tiny baby and nursing, and, you know, she'd cry and I'd feed her. And my mom was like, are you going to feed that baby every time she cries? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And it worked fine. So.
Yeah. And, you know, unless you have a time machine, how are you ever going to know if things would have been different if you had done things differently? This is the thing I always wonder about when schools or different authors or whatever, doctors or whatever, tried to lay down the law to me on stuff like that. It's, you know, if we could run an experiment and do it your way and do it my way and then see which way came out best and then go back again and do it that way, that's cool. But we can't. And who knows if the outcome would have been better if I had done it a different way. Not that I don't torture myself over that constantly, but I don't know. I'm going to err on the side of nurturing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big believer in that parenting philosophy. What do they call it? Attachment parenting?
Yeah.
Well, which they say in this article that they are.
Yes.
I don't know.
Somebody accused them of being over-nurturing, and they're like, no, we're not. See? That's a bad thing. This is what we do. Come on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Terri, do you think it's over-nurturing if you buy Kleenex instead of toilet paper?
I do not. Yeah, transitioning from overindulging to going too far the other way. Katherine and I listened to this podcast called Young House Love Has a Podcast, and they recently had a discussion, as we did, about this idea that millennials are killing top sheets, that there's people who are anti-top sheets. So we discussed that on this podcast. They discussed it there, but then they went on to other things that they think could use to be killed. And they mentioned that they use paper towels instead of napkins, which, okay, have done that from time to time. And that they use toilet paper instead of Kleenex, which, no.
That's taking things too far.
Just all sorts of... I'm just trying to think of myself sitting in church, and my child has a runny nose, and I just pull a roll of toilet paper out of my purse and say, "Here, honey."
I know. And on the podcast, she talked about how she's like, you know, just in in the living room where I watch TV in a drawer, I just have a roll of toilet paper. I'm like, no, don't do that. It's just
First off,
weird.
what kind of super posh toilet paper are they buying? Some toilet paper not only would be rough on your nose, but it's going to fall apart with one blow. I keep a tissue around for quite some time because I get those nice sturdy Kleenexes that can, you just use until they disintegrate.
As long as you're buying would be too Kleenex flimsy. Brand.
Yes.
Some people have jobs to keep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, always. But that I would not go quite that far. And even paper towels and napkins, that seems maybe a little waste. I'm not sure that's such a big savings, just other than just you're buying bulk of one thing instead of diversifying. Are napkins really that pricey? I don't know. But it got us thinking about hacks that we use around the house that we may or may not want to admit to. Things that we do maybe a little differently than other people, or do to simplify things, or to keep ourselves from indulging our children with things like tissues and napkins. Don't want to spoil them with soft aloe-covered things on their noses. No! Just go to the bathroom and grab a couple of squares, kid. So, Katherine, do you have any, cheap hacks that you use in your household along these lines?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this, but... despite our need to be sure to consume paper products in this house, we actually use cloth napkins instead of either paper napkins or paper towels. And
fancy.
What we do is we all have our own napkin ring with our initial on it, and we can reuse the cloth napkin. If it's coated in barbecue sauce or something, then we're not going to keep using it. But, sometimes it just gets a little damp or a crumb here or there, and you can certainly use it again. So we do that. So then not only are you not using a paper product, but you're not excessively laundering things, I would say.
See, our housekeeping is so bad that we would be using those napkins so they could stand up next to the plate. That would be very. Our dish towels sometimes are pretty rank.
I do laundry on a schedule, so they get done once a week, whether they need it or
my
not.
husband does laundry on a schedule too, but there's things that get forgotten. Stuff that makes it into the hamper, but stuff that you have to remember to go around the house and collect, like towels and dish towels and, cloth napkins and, I don't know, sheets and stuff like that. Those oftentimes skip many, 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 many laundry cycles.
That, of course, is one advantage of having the laundry machines in the kitchen. Because
there you go. That's true. You can always toss them in.
Another perhaps laundry related hack and also time management was when my kids were little, especially, only when they were little, they just wore tomorrow's clothes to bed.
That's a good idea.
They got changed at the end of the day into whatever it was they were wearing tomorrow, and then that's it. So,
that's a good idea.
I mean, they had pajamas, but it was... Pajamas are for weekends.
That saved a lot of time in the morning, I bet.
It does. I mean,
did you ever get stink eye from any moms who thought your kids were a little wrinkled?
If I did, I ignored it. I mean, I don't even... come on. Look at what's the difference between kids' pajamas and kids' clothes?
Not that much.
Nothing.
Not much.
Especially if, you have a girl who wears, leggings and big t-shirts or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, that's what pajamas are.
Right.
And the boys wear, the, sports pants, we call them. The stretchy pants. That's, again, pajamas. So, really, what's the difference?
Yeah. Does anybody iron anymore? Do you guys iron things?
No.
I steam if I have to.
Do you?
Yeah. Sometimes I have to iron shirts, but rarely.
My ironing household hack is just never buy anything that needs to be ironed.
Or hang it up in the shower when you're having a shower.
Put something heavy on top of it.
Yeah. Flatten it out.
Or just wear something wrinkly I have done that. If you put it on after a while, it just kind of relaxes a
so
little bit.
wrinkled after.
Or else it would be, you can pretend it's wrinkled from sitting down.
Yes.
This was perfect before I got into the car, but darn, it was a long drive and I was sweaty.
Right.
And now it's all wrinkly. What can you do?
Oh, well.
No.
I thought it was made of linen.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not good about that. Do you have some hacks along those lines, Nicole?
We use gray water a lot. Do you use gray water?
What is gray water? I'm afraid to ask.
So, more so with like cooking, like bottled water and stuff. So it's when you reuse your water.
Ooh!
No, not for drinking or anything.
Like for watering plants or
Please
Watering
elaborate.
plants.
flushing
Like
the toilet.
often, because we drink a lot of bottled water here, so often there's water left over in bottles all over the house.
Yeah.
So I'll use it to water plants, to fill up the dog dish, to
Okay.
rinse something off, like outside.
That's okay. So far.
Not my cooking, but it's a very big thing in Australia. Countries like Australia, they actually collect their shower water and use it for watering plants.
That's distressing.
Yeah, it's a environmentally friendly way of saving water, especially down here in the desert.
Yeah,
man.
well, that's true.
Water is scarce. So yeah, I don't use true gray water, but I reuse, like, instead of just pouring out the water, when I pass by the dog dish or my plants or
Well, that's
whatever.
a good idea. I never thought of using unused bottled water for the dog. That's a good idea.
I use it for the dogs too, or like if I've boiled water in the teapot and then I didn't use it, I didn't use it all, and it's been sitting there all day. It's it's not hot anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
And I put that in the dog's dish too.
Yeah, that's
a similar idea.
Do that. And then our potted plants outside, I just walk outside and dump them and dump the water in. Yeah, what other hacks?
Mostly my hacks, simplifying of life hacks, are I just don't do things.
Deciding not to care is your hack.
Exactly. That's my
hack.
hack.
I'm sure I have them, but I can't really remember. Like, I can't think of anything specific.
I use face wipes, to wash my face at night because I hate splashing water on my face. So I have like the single-use things, and then I feel guilty about using a single-use item like that and throwing it away. So I clean the sink with it after I use it on my face. So then I feel slightly better about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
My daughter won't let me buy those. She says that they cause acne.
Oh.
Rather than, I don't know why, I don't know what the science is behind it. But according to her, she says it makes complexions worse. So, I don't know.
Well,
I've never bought them.
So far, I'm
but
okay.
I should try. And I can clean my sink.
Right.
That's a good idea. That's a good multi-use idea. Do you guys ever use old toothbrushes for cleaning?
Yeah, I do. I think that's my mother's. That was something that my mother passed down.
They work good.
They do, especially when you have a lot of tile and grout.
Yes.
Which seems to be a thing here in California. I don't know.
I think I've talked here before about the fact that we use sponges way, 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 way past the point where it would be responsible to get rid of them. So we are conserving on sponges.
Right.
Until they keep them until they talk back to us. And then we politely dump them. But I would get rid of them after like 3 swipes, but my husband is quite the conservationist when it comes to sponges. Just general poor hygiene is the theme of my conversation. I should not be snuffing at Nicole's used water because I have way worse stuff.
Yeah,
it's disturbing.
I mean, I use like my knife a lot to hack things, like a butter knife to hack things. I don't know, prying something open or twisting something closed, threatening. No, I'm just kidding.
Yikes!
But,
everybody be nice to Nicole.
I don't really go into the garage and get out any tools, so I'm often using utensils to tools.
Yeah, I use scissors for a
Random
lot of
tools.
things scissors probably were not meant for.
And then we had this like little stone statue. My husband got it. This is actually kind of funny. My husband got it in Thailand. It's like a little Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very inappropriate way to use it. And I apologize to our listeners, but it's very heavy. It's rock. I don't know what it's made of. Anyway, I use it as a hammer. If I need to bang anything into the wall, like go get the Buddha statue, and it's very disrespectful. I apologize. Maybe it isn't Buddha. Maybe it's an elephant. Can't even.
Let's just say it's not anything that would be
I
disrespectful.
think it wants to feel useful. And
That's yeah.
It is very useful in our life. It makes our life better.
There you go.
Excellent.
Every time I want to hang something up, I go get Buddha or elephant god or something. So
Well,
it helps us.
listeners, if you have some creative things you do to save money or to be unindulgent or just because your family's weird, let us know. Talk to us on Facebook or Twitter.
And we'll be
share
the
with
judge
us
of whether or not you're weird.
your embarrassing household hacks. And remember that you can hear a new speed round every Wednesday through Friday.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying this episode of Parenting Roundabout. We're not one of those podcasts that's trying to sell you websites or mattresses or meal kits. I mean, we totally would, but no one's asked us yet.
There is, however, something you can do that costs you nothing, but will put a little change in our pockets. Listen to our podcast on the Radio Public app. Download the app to your iPhone or Android device and listen to Parenting Roundabout there, and we'll get paid for each listen. Plus a little more if you listen a lot.
We think you'll enjoy listening to all your podcasts on this app, but if you could at least listen to Parenting Roundabout there, we'd be very grateful. Now, back to the episode.
And now we bring you some of the things we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. Terri, what have you got for us this
Yeah,
week?
well, I'm going to take our podcast as an opportunity to plug another podcast. I listened to an episode of Memory Palace this week that was just a really funny and charmingly told story about snakes. We'll have the link to it in our show notes, but if you just Google Memory Palace snakes, that episode will probably come up. Just a very engagingly told, funny tale, telling a real story. And it will make you laugh, and it will make you look into going down to the garden store and purchasing a hoe, because apparently they're extremely helpful should a large number of exotic poisonous snakes be let loose in your neighborhood.
Oh.
Check that out.
Nicole's
Okay.
interest is piqued
Yeah.
by this
You
idea.
should listen to it, Nicole. It's really
You do
very
realize
entertaining.
I live in a place with a lot of snakes,
I would,
right?
yes, I would not normally want to listen to something that was called Snakes, but it just rolled through on my Radio Public podcast player, and I perked up at some point going, this is funny. This is really a funny story, funnily told.
Catherine, how about you? What do you have this week?
My obsession.
Yes, this is, if you're a Hamilton person,
Nicole,
You
you
will
can just take a
know.
break now. You know,
I am,
We're
I'm
gonna geek out on
spacing.
Hamilton for a little bit.
I'm gonna pick up Candy Crush here and play.
tune
No
out.
offense.
So, roughly once a month, there is a new Hamilton adjacent song. And this one is pretty directly,
Yeah.
you know, there have been sort of songs inspired by and mashup type things, but this is an early draft of a song from the musical Hamilton, an American musical, called First Burn. So it's an early draft of the song Burn, which is a really powerful song in the show. And this version is really fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And they have 5 different women who played the character of Eliza Schuyler Hamilton in the show singing this song together, and it is just fantastic.
Yes.
So,
yes.
First Burn. Check it out.
It is very fun if you know the song and can compare this early version to what wound up in the show. It also, I think, works by itself as just being gorgeous. And arrangement by Alex Lacamoire for these 5 actresses is just terrific.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a lot. I don't know if I would say it's angrier than the one that's in the show, but it's maybe more of a hot anger than a cold fury. And the delivery.
It's more immediate.
It's more immediate. Well, I think he's there in this one. Because she's telling him, don't come any closer. So she's more clearly saying it directly to him. Whereas I think in the show, you've seen the show and I haven't. She's alone on stage for it, right?
She is. She is alone.
She and her bonfire.
Yep. Her little lantern that she's...
There's one particular line that will be fun to anybody who's familiar with the original cast soundtrack that suggests a knowledge that Eliza doesn't explicitly have in the show. But I also enjoyed the very many don'ts, which is new to it. Also.
As in, don't come any closer.
Yes.
Don't think you can get away with this.
Right.
Yeah.
And just the way the music stops when she says that. I really like that. And it makes it very fun to sing along with. Yes. I've been listening to it on Apple Music, in which it just feeds round and round and round in a loop. There's a very abrupt ending, and then the music of the introduction starts again, and it almost seems like these women are just singing it over and over again to you, and it's just like one extremely long song. So I've listened to it a few times.
So you can download it at hamildrops.com, and we'll put a link to the video, because it's kind of cool to see the video, too.
Yes, the video allows you to see who is singing which line, if you are interested in that.
Right. All right, Hamilton talk over. Now you can...
It's safe to come back, Nicole. Oh, you should listen. It's really pretty. Ticked off woman song. It's fun.
Okay. I might check it out. I might not. But this week I'm shouting out RockTape.
What is that?
Kinesiology tape.
Oh, that stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Literally, it has saved my life.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So
there was a skip.
Years of teaching, bad shoes. I never invested in shoes. I should have. My husband always told me, you got to wear good shoes. I never did. I wore these like cheap old flats from whatever store I could get them from. And so as a result, I have developed really, really, really bad Morton's neuroma. And if you know what that is, you would know.
I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
But it's when the balls of your feet the nerves become inflamed. So that's like, the soft padding at the front of your foot, under your foot.
That sounds uncomfortable.
And it becomes inflamed, and it's super painful to walk on. It's like if you've ever had plantar fasciitis. I can't remember what it's called.
I've seen that word, but I wouldn't want to try to pronounce it.
No, it's so painful. It feels like you're walking on a rock the whole time, and this Morton's neuroma. And you usually get it in both feet, and it's super, super painful. It makes walking hideous. And so anyway, mine has been getting worse over the years, and I haven't really looked after it myself and taken care of it. And finally I went to the
podiatrist.
Podiatrist, I was going to say pediatric doctor, but no, podiatrist. And so, she did some things for me, but it just hasn't really helped. And so I've been really limiting what I've been doing activity-wise, because I just hate walking. It's so painful. Anyway, so I was looking at this YouTube video the other night, and this woman was saying that she uses kinesiology tape. And this is after I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on shoes and orthotics and inserts and everything, right? She says she uses kinesiology tape and wraps it around the top part of her foot. And what it does is it pulls away, it lifts up the tissue and the nerves, and, it just kind of separates things a bit, because it's like a tape. It's stretchy tape. Anyway, my life has changed.
Oh, wow.
I'm it's just that simple little fix. And I'm like, I feel, the pain is reduced 90%, and I just don't get any of the symptoms that I used to, and I feel like I can go on a hike again. It's changed things up a lot. So
that's awesome.
Whereas before, there really wasn't any hope. So I'm feeling much better, and there's a little bit more bounce in my step. So
nice.
There you go.
That's very good.
All right, and now for our final segment today, we're going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. So, Terri, what do you have?
Well, all the excitement over Nicole's book has gotten me thinking, hey, you know what? I wrote a book. I wrote 2. I actually wrote 3 if you count a rewrite of the first one. So I looked on my website at Mothers with Attitude to see where I had what I thought was a page about my books. And it turns out Amazon has changed the way they do their big display ads, and it was just a big gray box. So that's not going to sell many books. So I've revamped that page a little. So there are now pictures of my 3 books, count them 3, and also Nicole's book, just 'cause I needed a 4th. And,
because you're the fairy godmother of my book.
Yes, I am the godmother of that book. It was my whining about nobody knowing how to do inclusion that made Nicole write it. So I will be happy to participate in its success by you clicking on my Amazon affiliate link to buy it and getting a little money. But anyway, so there's a little bit about each of the books on there and abundant links to Amazon, which I would appreciate it if you wanted to buy them that way. And check it out. My books are, one of them is on 50 Ways to Support Your Child's Special Education. That one's a little bossy. That one's not so May. And then the other 2 are about sensory integration. The first book was Everything Parents Guide to Sensory Integration Disorder, and then since the name of that thing got changed a whole bunch of times, eventually they wanted a rewrite that called it Sensory Processing Disorder. So that's fine. I'll do that. Give me your money. So those are there for anybody who is interested in those topics, which you should be. So, and also in Nicole's book, which is excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Nicole, what would you like to mention today?
Well, I'll just elaborate.
Yes,
on
please.
And actually, I was going to mention Terri's lovely description of it on her website that encourages people to pass it on to their child's clueless school.
Yes.
So it is definitely a book for parents and teachers.
Yes.
And it is called Inclusion in Action, in case you don't know and you haven't heard our podcast before. And it's practical strategies to modify your curriculum, and it is available on Amazon and brookspublishing.com, and perhaps one day Barnes & Noble. If I make that happen.
Yes. I don't think I mentioned it on this podcast that I asked for it in a Barnes & Noble and was told that it was a textbook and therefore they would have to order it. But I will say to parents that even though this is being marketed for teachers and educators, if you've ever wondered, I've heard of this thing called inclusion. People at my school don't seem to be doing it right, but I don't know how they should be doing it, and they keep telling me there's no way to do it the way I think they should. Go get this book, order it from Amazon, order it from Brooks Publishing, have Barnes & Noble get it and bring it into your store and get it. It is very, very readable, unlike a lot of Brooks books for parents. And it is,
Thank you.
It's full of really, really practical suggestions so that you can read it and see, oh, I see how you would do this. And then you can give it to a teacher and say, see, another teacher says this is how you do it. I think it could be very useful.
Another teacher's actually done it.
Yes, because if you just go in and said, I read this thing on the internet, they're going to send you away. Or this other parent was telling me how they do it in their school. Nobody wants to hear that. But if you could say, here's a book written for educators by another teacher, giving you worksheets and exact descriptions of how to do things, that makes it harder for them to say, this doesn't exist, we don't hear you, la, 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 la. So, good luck. Seek it out, in other words.
Yes.
Buy it through my Amazon link.
That's right. Go to Terri's website, motherswithattitude.com.
That's right.
/p/books.html.
But just come to the show notes. It will be a lot easier for you. And I'll just quickly mention, one of those parenting articles that I've written. But, I certainly try to be sensitive to the fact that there are many kinds of children and parents and families. And, but this one is about self-control in
parents or children.
This one happens to be about children.
Okay.
But parents, maybe you'll find a way that you could help yourself. I don't know. Or, your spouse, or who knows. But it's allegedly about preschoolers. So check that one out over at highlights.com.
Excellent. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on Radio Public or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts.
You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Nicole Erdix. Katherine is at C. Haleko. and Terri is at Momitude. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too.
Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on everything we've mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Morin at johnjmorin.com for providing our in and out music. And I wish everyone a great week.